Good morning, Austin. Welcome to the Fans View, KAZI 88.7. Travis Kent. To my left, Douglas Washington.
Yes.
To my right, as always, KVU 24's Corey Mose.
We missed you last week.
Hey, guys, I appreciate you filling in for me last week, covering for me. Rough day at the household.
Yeah.
We love our children. We love our pets.
There we do.
Sometimes children move out of the house. Sometimes pets reach the end of their days.
Yeah.
Last Friday was a double dose as we had my stepdaughter moved into her own apartment.
Hey.
At the same time, our beloved Libby had some respiratory issues. Took her to emergency care, and unfortunately, we weren't able to bring her back to health. So she has. She loved to sunbathe, and I like to think that right now, in all this glorious sun that we're having, she is somewhere better, just laying in the sun, having her best life. So,
and the best part about that, Corey, she can lay there as long as she wants and doesn't have to worry about Travis saying, "Hey, get in the house."
That's right.
He's always cutting that short, I'm sure.
That's right.
She needed another 20 minutes, and he's like, "Nope, you got to come in now."
But I appreciate you guys holding down the fort. Man, we got a big day today. I tell you what, Mavs 7 straight wins since the trade deadline. I tell you what, trade deadline, Dallas Mavericks. You guys have heard me enough be pessimistic Mavericks fan, even with the Kyrie Luka matchup. I tell you what, and I still have my Jason Kidd questions. But a roster that looks a lot better to me right now. An 8 deep that I think can go out and compete nightly. Are they a top 4 in the West? I don't think so yet, but last year they didn't make the playoffs. This year it looked like they were maybe a play-in team. Now, I think we're on a track where we won't even have to worry about the play-in. We'll just make the playoffs and see where the dice fall. So we'll talk about that a little bit. NBA All-Star Game.
We got to get into that one.
Yeah, I love the defensive effort, but we'll talk about that later. We haven't talked about NBA defense around here, have we?
No.
So
we would never cover that.
Maybe we'll dive into defense in the NBA or the lack of. There is no D in NBA. But there's a lot going on. Guys, how was your sports week?
It was good for me. I did get a little mad about people getting mad about Caitlin Clark breaking the record, and I'm glad those people are not in my circle. But yeah, I hate that. I don't think we need to be hating on. I think we should enjoy that. I mean, she is talented. Yeah, and you're looking at a once in a lifetime talent there. And I just wanted to live in that moment. So that I got tired of that. I'm gonna tell you one other little thing. Baseball's coming.
Oh yeah.
My whole week with this weather, it just made me think I gotta get out there and flash that leather. That's all I was thinking about all week. So I got some throw rounds in.
For sure. Last night we had spring. I never thought we'd get to a day where there was spring training kickoff game.
I know, right?
Yeah.
We had a standalone spring training kickoff game yesterday as the Dodgers took on the Padres. Padres decided to get off to a slow start. Dodgers decided to do a lot of hitting.
You said no defense.
As they won 14-1 yesterday. A lot of other games.
Have you seen the pants, though? Have you seen everyone talking about the pants?
No, I'm hearing a lot of talk about the jerseys.
What, you haven't heard about the pants?
No, I haven't heard about the pants.
Oh, man.
I heard they cut down the choices of cuts they can have on their pants. I know that.
Well, apparently you can see a lot.
Oh.
Within the pants.
Oh. Yep.
So that's been floating around.
So
pictures here and there.
MLB, Nike took over the sponsorship of Major League Baseball uniforms several years ago, and they partnered with Fanatics, the online retailer, to redo the jerseys. They had a large pool of players, executives, etc., to rethink the uniforms and the jerseys to make them breathable. There are actually many players who like the fabric and the breathability and how much cooler it will be during the summer months. However, they changed some of the look and style, the stitching. I saw one comment where a player said it looks like this is a TJ Maxx knockoff. There's a lot of controversy around that.
I've seen a team where two players, same team, have different arm cuffs. One's loose, one's tight.
Yeah.
And in football you see that, because like some quarterbacks like it a certain way. But baseball, everyone has to have the same cuffs. Michael Rubin, huh?
2 words. See-through.
Yeah, that's what I mean by the fan. You seen it? Seen it?
Oh, well, I mean,
you look it up?
We've always known chicks dig the long ball.
Come on, bro. Hey, that's pretty solid. Off the dome?
Yeah.
That was off the dome?
Yeah, but that's about as far as I could go with it.
That was pretty good.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Travis.
Yeah.
There are going to be some problems. I think you have to think about when you're I don't know how many times they use it. I was being practical and I was like, oh well, you slide to second base once and you're gonna rip your pants, and now we got to have uniform changes in between, and then but that's if you get up to hit again in that inning. That's the only thing I could really complain about. I guess I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. It draws attention to the sport. You guys know I'm a baseball fan, so if we can get people talking, people to tune in, and I'm gonna support it. Blindly support it.
You support the see-through?
Well, here's why. I don't want to say the Taylor Swift effect, but if we can draw more attention from a gender that's opposite of myself,
you already got a lot of cleat chasers
I'm
out
good
there,
with it.
man.
I'm all right with it.
All right, guys, we're going to get started early today because we got a caller already.
Already?
Yeah. Mr. Oklahoma, #1 softball team in the country. Number two softball team in the country, the Texas Longhorns.
Hey.
Already some big games early season in women's softball. It looks like it's going to be a great season in the Big 12 this year. Mr. Oklahoma, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing all right, man. What happened to you last week, man?
You just explained it.
Yeah, last week,
he's like,
we had a sick animal.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, so it was. About this time last week. Unfortunately, we were spending our last moments with Libby. So So I'm sorry I missed you guys, but it couldn't be avoided.
Yeah, do your daughter still go to LSU?
I do. Yeah, my oldest Becca is still at LSU. I saw her a couple weeks ago. She came in. They have Mardi Gras break at LSU.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so Mardi Gras, she came in for a few days. Unfortunately, she had to have her wisdom teeth cut out.
No.
But Mardi Gras week, they get Monday, Tuesday, and half a day Wednesday off. And then her professor, she only has one class on Thursday. Her professor canceled that class. So she was off almost an entire week a couple of weeks ago. So, yeah, she's still at LSU.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Travis, do you have a purple shirt?
I do. I've got a purple shirt. I've got a yellow LSU cap. When I went last year, I went to one football game, and I wore my LSU shirt. I wore one of my Silver Spurs hats. So my Texas Longhorn Silver
Yeah.
Spurs. I wore that hat. 'Cause
How many cat calls did you get?
So and last year, so this time of year actually, Dell Diamond, Round Rock Express hosts a college classic.
Okay.
So they bring college teams in, and last year a buddy of mine here locally is an Iowa Hawkeyes fan, and last year LSU and Iowa played out at Dell Diamond, and I went fully decked out in my LSU gear to go watch that game. So yeah, I wore my LSU.
Well,
stuff.
That's a proud papa.
Oh, you
Yeah.
got to see the chance.
Yeah, that's good, man. I'm gonna tell you, I've been watching some dynamite college basketball, women and men.
Yep.
I watched that game last night, South Carolina, man. I'm gonna tell you, that coach in South Carolina, man, she's doing a fantastic job.
She is. She is.
Yeah, and I like Tim Mulkey too, though.
Oh, how could you not?
You know, 'cause
She
they-
delivers
you know,
with the
they won
outfits.
last
It's
night,
a
too.
show.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with what she did with Brittany Griner. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Oh, yeah. People grow, though, Corey.
She hasn't grown. What are you talking about?
Thought maybe,
Nah.
she's no longer the Baylor coach. She's the LSU coach and has grown from
Yeah.
those experiences because she knows it could affect future recruits.
Nah, she don't care, bro. They
Okay.
asked her
Yeah,
about
because
it.
They won,
They
you
asked
know
her
they
about it.
won last night too. You know that, don't you?
Yeah,
Yes.
barely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you win by 1 point, you win.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, but it's to an Auburn team, though. That's
Wait a minute. This is from the
That's
man who doesn't like Venables, and that's coming back to haunt you next football season. If it's just win by 1 point, it's still a win.
Man, you know, I mean, I'm not saying I don't like it, man, but I'm just not happy with it. You know, I mean, I'm godly because I don't know, man. The dude is just, I don't know. He's not really showing me nothing, man. You know,
Well,
but we'll see, though. You know.
You know, I don't know if I've ever mentioned this on this show before. Maybe I did in the previous iteration years ago, but you know Brett Venables. So you guys saw the movie Ghost, right?
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know the I guess the villain in that is Patrick Swayze's former business partner or whatever. You know that act. I don't even know what that actor's name is.
Yeah.
But he was always sweaty and nervous, and he was pursuing Demi Moore in the
Yes.
movie, right?
Yeah.
That's who Brett Venables looks like. Looks like that guy. And all I can do is picture that nervous, sweaty guy that Patrick Swayze as a ghost is chasing around. that's all. And when I see Brett Venables, that's all I see is that guy.
Yeah.
Now
I know, man.
Now I gotta do the split screen side by side
Exactly.
comparison. I'm gonna do that. Miss
Yeah,
Oklahoma.
but I'm gonna tell you, I love my men college basketball, man, because who was that got beat last night? I think UConn got beat, didn't they?
Did
college?
they lose last night?
It was a couple nights ago.
Not,
Yeah, a couple nights ago.
yeah,
They
a couple
lost.
nights.
Oh yeah.
They got
They
ran
got
through.
they got shellacked.
Yeah, by
Yeah.
Creighton.
Yeah, Creighton.
Yeah,
Creighton nice though.
Nebraska.
Right.
Creighton nice though.
They play ball in Nebraska.
Yeah, Creighton always had a pretty solid team every year though. But they did
Yeah,
shoot
but
the
see-
ball. They shot lots out. Like they shot out
Yeah,
at
but
least
see,
55%.
UConn beat them the first time in UConn, and they went to Creighton, and that's when they got upset.
Well, crazy stat. UConn's like 0-19, I think, or 0-20 on
Yeah,
the road
yeah.
versus ranked opponents,
Yeah,
which is like you didn't like when the stat came out. I was like, no way. But yeah, over the past 4 or 5 years, they're like 0-19 against ranked opponents on the road.
Yeah.
Now, this throughout that time period, they've won some championships.
Right.
So it's like,
Look,
okay,
how do you balance it? Yeah, exactly.
how you balance that? But like, it is kind of an anomaly to think like they can't beat a ranked team on the road.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe, but I do feel like every team needs that though. Every team needs to lose at some point.
Yeah.
If you think about years in the past with like Gonzaga, when they ran through their conference and they go into the NCAA tournament 30-0.
Yeah.
They usually get bounced, you know, because they haven't faced adversity. And so I think this adversity is good for UConn, you know, just so they can get humbled a little bit.
well, you know, I'm happy about U of H, man, but you know, U of H is, you know, I think they're going, you know, they're doing good now. They ranked I think they moved to number 2
Yep.
since what's his name got beat? Who was that number 2?
Purdue.
Purdue, yeah, Purdue then went down number 3. You know,
Purdue.
But you, huh?
He said Purdue.
Purdue win in the tournament.
Yeah. But anyway, man, you know, universities, I watch them all the time, man. But I like to see them in the championship, you know. But you know, I just have little doubts about them, though. You know.
What, they 22-3. You can't have that many doubts.
Houston's a fun team to watch. I'll tell you.
That March Madness is coming up. It's going to be a lot of teams get upset. Because it happens every year.
Yeah.
Every year.
But Mr. Oklahoma, that's a scared mentality. I don't understand why you would be hesitant. If your team was 14-12, I would get it. But 22-3 is great. Ranked number 2 in the nation, brother. You've got to enjoy this. Enjoy it. You don't sound like it.
Enjoying it, man. But what I'm saying, we need a championship in Houston. Because the last time we went up there with NC State, they upset us, years ago. And I ain't never forgot about that game.
I don't think any of us have.
I was crying, man. I was crying in that game.
That U of H team that lost to North Carolina State at the pit in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That was, I mean, everybody knows I grew up a Longhorn fan.
Yeah.
But Phi Slamma Jamma had me mesmerized.
Everybody.
My gosh. And I wanted them to win that game so bad.
Man, everybody did. And you know, back then, they didn't even have 3-pointers.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
They didn't have 3-pointers. And if they had 3-pointers, it probably would have been a worse game for U of H to lose.
Yep.
You know.
I have Clyde Drexler in a list. I'm prepared to defend him that he's overlooked as one of the preeminent players just because he didn't have as many rings as Jordan. He was quite the player. He was a good team player, all around player. But Clyde Drexler is on my list of faves. So, Mr. Oklahoma, I'm gonna just say this then: recruiting, University of Houston now being number 2. Are we about to see a streak? Like, is Houston about to start dominating? You can get the local talent that'll stay. You'll be that national draw. The city is amazing. Are we about to see a dynastic run from this university?
Man, I hope so.
I think so.
But you know, I just can't guarantee it.
As long as
man, I'm saying, you know, U of H has really broke my heart many a day in the past. But I mean, I'm always watching because I'm from Houston.
Oh, we know.
I mean,
the only thing that stops Kelvin Sampson is himself.
Yeah.
As long as he doesn't get called for recruiting violations, I think Houston's in for a long run.
Well,
but he was gone from Oklahoma for a reason. He was gone from Indiana for a reason.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say,
You want to tap the brakes on U of H?
Well, no, I want to say, I feel like it's not just starting. Let's not act like this hasn't been a thing for the last couple of years. They've been good. They just haven't been
not
in the Big 12.
Not a national draw.
Yes, they have though. Think about in the last couple of years.
But they were in the AAC.
Yes, exactly. And that's the
so
only
they were
reason.
overlooked.
That's the only reason.
I agree. Overlooked.
But let's not forget, about 3-4 years ago, they went all the way to this Elite 8 and they got knocked out by Jordan Poole hitting a half-court buzzer beater when he was at Michigan.
Yeah.
You know how long Jordan Poole's been in the league? That's how long U of H has been good at basketball. So it's let's not act like this is a new thing for U of H. They've always been a basketball school for the last 5 years.
We can just watch
the games. But now
right.
They're in the Big 12. And so I will say this, though, to Douglas's point, they're able to recruit better because they're in the Big 12. Now, Sampson has been able to get his guys lately in the transfer portal over the last couple of years, but now they can really take over Houston because they have the Big 12 to back them up.
Look. We'll talk probably a little bit of college football playoff talk later, but on the basketball side of things, the Big 12 after this year, Texas and Oklahoma move on to the SEC, but you have U of H, Baylor, Kansas, and then the supporting cast of Cincinnati, Texas Tech. Let's not forget, Texas Tech was in the national championship game just a few years ago.
Yeah. With Chris Beard.
West Virginia. Look, West Virginia's gone through their rough cycle because of their coach's big mouth. But that's a good basketball program in a basketball-rich area that recruits well. Big 12 moving forward in college basketball is not going to lose a beat with Texas and Oklahoma moving on.
And that's what I was going to – when this whole thing happened, the realignment happened, that's the first thing I thought about was this is now a basketball conference.
That's right.
Which is – honestly, it was already kind of a basketball conference because to me, last year, Big 12 was the best basketball conference in the nation.
Yep.
And so now you take away Texas and Oklahoma, now they're definitely not a football conference.
Right.
And so I think that for sure that's why Big 12 went out and got U of H.
And they're bringing Arizona in.
Exactly. That's why you go out and get Arizona because you know you see the writing on the wall.
Right.
Like Brett Yormark isn't an idiot.
No.
Like he sees that like we're not a football conference, so let's be the best basketball conference. And so everyone comes and watches our games for that.
Kansas, Baylor, and Arizona are perennial top 15 programs, and Houston now, I believe, is in year 5 of Sampson's 8 years at a U of H or whatever, however long he's been there. They're in year 5 of being a top 25 team, and they are on the verge of cementing themselves as a perennial top 15 team. When you have 4 perennial top 15 programs in your conference, you're the best basketball conference in the country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By far.
And I tell you what, man, next year in the Big 12, starting football, basketball, track and field, baseball, who's going to rise to the top in that conference next year? I just can't wait, man. I'm telling you, I can't wait.
It will be fun to watch.
Yeah,
it will be fun to watch. Yeah,
very interesting.
You bring on the football side. You're bringing Dion into the conference. It'll be a wide open race.
Yeah.
There's a lot to keep your eyes on next year in the Big 12, and I'm a Texas fan who's moving on to the SEC. I'll still be watching Big 12 football. It's local. Hey, by the way, we're 10 years from now, college sports are going to look different.
Very.
Here's my this is not a hot prediction because I think everyone sees this coming, right? Is football's about to break away.
Yeah.
We're about to be where football is no longer in a conference. It is a division of its own, and we're going to come back to regional conferences.
Yeah.
And we're going to see Texas and OU and A&M and Texas Tech and Baylor and Rice and all. We're going to see these regional conferences sort of regroup for all the other sports.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be a lot. My personal opinion, it'll be a lot more fun then. But it will be fun to watch the Big 12 next year.
Yeah.
So don't Texas play? Who does Texas play tomorrow in basketball? Kansas.
We got Kansas. Anybody want to drive to Fog with me?
That's one of my dream. Like
I haven't been there, and I'm regretting now that I haven't gone. But maybe one of these days I'll just pick up and go.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Just watch a random Kansas.
And then Houston plays Baylor tomorrow. So.
Yes, sir.
I'm telling you, man, I love my college basketball. I love it.
If we time it up, though, I'll go with you because I drove to Kansas for some wrestling tournaments for my daughter, so we can just time it up because freestyle season just started.
Yeah.
So I can go up. I can go do a tournament. We leave you at the stadium, and then we can recombine, and you don't have to drive by yourself because it is a long drive.
Houston is at that brand new facility right off I-35. Corey, you hadn't been there yet. Have you been to that new Baylor facility yet?
No, unfortunately,
you
no.
haven't. Okay,
but it's not finished though.
It's not, but they're playing inside of it. It's
that's
not
the weird part.
It
like,
is.
The outside.
They're still doing some outside work on it.
They're not done. So that's Baylor's gonna Baylor. So basically, they just wanted to have it ready enough. For the basketball season to start, so people can come in and watch the games in a new court.
There's a hole in the roof. Was that a bird that just
exactly. There's still so much to get done. Because I have friends that work in the Baylor Mark in Waco, and so they tell me all the time, like, it's a cool like arena, but it's not done.
Yeah.
So, there's construction everywhere. You're walking through a bunch of just machines all over the place. And it's like, okay, well, I can't wait to see the finished product, But, like, I don't understand why you would – to me, I don't understand why you would open something that's half finished. Like, imagine the Moody Center wasn't –
It'll be a brand new Holler House on the Brazos. You ever heard that term?
Holler House?
That's so when Farrell Center opened up, which is where they used to play. They call it the Holler House on the Brazos.
Okay.
And now this is actually closer to the Brazos. This one, so I don't even know what it's called.
Oh,
but it is beautiful right there off the interstate. It sits as you drive through the interstate. You look right, you see the new basketball facility. You look left, you see the football field. It's actually it's a really cool look. They've done a lot with that little area right there. But yeah, Mr. Oklahoma, what else you got for us? We got to get out of here.
Yeah, hey Travis, do you ever check out 674 on your TV?
No,
Yeah, man, they show a lot of Houston high school basketball. You know, they show a lot of youth.
Channel 6.
And they talk about, Houston Dallas,
Yes.
I need you, hey, Cole, I need you to talk about some high school basketball in Houston and Dallas.
Man.
And Fort Worth, man, if you can,
Yeah.
Like on air?
We'll get into hey, high school basketball playoffs are going on right now. We will talk a little bit about it because my Fairfield Eagles are number 1 in the state.
Wow.
What? My Lady Eagles, 4-time state finalists, are number 1 in the state. They just took out the number 1 leading scorer in high school basketball and girls basketball from Rice Consolidated High School. They just took her out of the playoffs, 62-60 this week. We'll talk about some of that. Mr. Oklahoma, we appreciate you calling in. We got to get to a break.
Yeah.
We out of here. We'll be right back after these words. KAZI 88.7.
Hey, check out some of that basketball tomorrow, guys.
All right, we will. Yep.
All right, see y'all next week.
All right. We're back on the Fans View. KAZI 88.7. Travis Kent alongside Douglas Washington. KView 24's Corey Mose. Jay Hunt on the board. We appreciate Jay. Got a little guest coming into the studio later today. Just a little teaser. There'll be some San Antonio Spurs basketball talk later on, just to give everybody just to wet their whistle. So we will definitely be talking. But guess what, Corey, you be heading out to Moody Center to watch the Spurs games? San Antonio Spurs,
year, yeah.
The I-35 series. I tell you
I was
what.
there last year.
Just a teaser as we prepare for the top of the hour and our guests coming in. This is just a side note. This is the second year of the I-35 series for the San Antonio Spurs, where they played 2 home games at the Moody Center in Austin. I think this is a fantastic idea for the Spurs. I get it that this takes away 2 home games out of your own arena and moves it to another arena. But for the last couple of decades, San Antonio has billed themselves as Central Texas's team. And this is the full embrace of that idea. The Austin Spurs have been in Cedar Park for a number of years now, and they have fully embraced this idea that they consider the New Braunfels, San Marcos, Austin markets as their home turf, and this cements it by having a couple of home games at the Moody Center. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
It is. I believe it pays dividends in their viewership, in their fandom, and we'll talk about more of that later. But we've got that to look forward to.
I'm not gonna lie. Like when I first moved to Austin, I was shocked with how many people were Spurs fans.
Yeah.
Like I legit did not think anybody, like no hate, but like I didn't think anybody outside of San Antonio liked the Spurs.
Right.
And so when I got to Austin, I started asking like, because the basics with my job, I got to figure out demographics. What do people like?
What do people want?
What do
That's
people
right.
want?
Exactly.
So, I'm asking my boss, like, hey, do we talk about the Rockets more or do we talk about the Mavericks more out here? Because in Midland, when I used to work at, like, it's in the middle of nowhere. So there's no NBA team anywhere close. And so you kind of just talked about everybody.
Yeah.
But out here, you're kind of in the middle ground.
Yeah.
And so he was like, oh, we talk about the Spurs.
Yeah.
Like, it was like a dumb question.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, like people really mess with the Spurs out here like that?
Yeah.
And so once last year came around, I saw the Moody Center sold out, loud rocking. I was like, wow, there really is a lot of Spurs fans that mess with San Antonio out here in Austin. And so, yeah, I think they've accomplished that. I think they've already put their stamp on it.
For certain.
And it's kind of cool to see that man, they can do a couple more games than just 2 games out here in Austin, man. I think they should do at least 7, 8. You know.
You know, that's an interesting question that we can pose to our guests coming in later, because you do have. Look, I completely get transporting your home games, your season ticket holders that buy full season tickets. There's a struggle there of what do you take away from them to give to another marketplace, but the city of Austin, 100%.
They're gonna back you.
We'll back you. It's just, where's your comfort level? Right now, it's at 2 games, better than nothing. Austin fans love it.
Yeah.
But you're right, Corey. Austin could easily support and pay dividends for more games, but yeah, you got to pay that battle. Look, they're also this is also falling during the what is called the rodeo road trip for the Spurs.
Yes.
And so they have this month where they can't play in their own arena.
Yeah.
And so they're taking advantage of that.
That's
by
a smart
saying,
play.
Yes, it is.
instead of being on the road for like 24 out of 34 days or whatever it is, they can take advantage of it by, look, we can go home. We can fly into San Antonio. We can take us a luxury bus trip up to Austin, not that hard of a drive.
Yep.
Go play a couple of games, be back home. You sleep in your own bed several times, and it'll be a great trip. And so,
and I will say, like, a couple points on this.
Yeah.
I went to a Spurs game about 2-3 weeks ago in San Antonio. They played Orlando Magic, and I mean, now mind you, it was a Wednesday night, so take what you want, but definitely wasn't packed. Definitely wasn't sold out.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how much are you losing? You know, if you're talking about losing a home game, how much are you really losing in the middle of the week?
Right.
You know, and then also the flip side, last year the games were towards the latter end of the year. Yeah. You know, and they played the Trailblazers and the Minnesota Timberwolves. That Trailblazers game, my goodness. I mean, it was G League guys, you know, on the court.
Right.
Keldon Johnson didn't even play; he was out. And like last year, Keldon was the guy. And so it's kind of like end of the year games. No one really is bought in, especially 2 teams like that are just trying to get the best lottery position. Hopefully, in the future, they can move these dates up so then these games kind of don't fall into that category of whatever, who's ever out there. But I'm glad that these games are going to be fun to watch because of Wemby, you know, and because of that factor. And look, man, I just know that like the Austin fans are going to show out for them. So
for sure. It's definitely like you said. I'm not gonna beat a nail into the ground here, but I think it's fantastic.
What are those dates? Do you know those dates you have?
It's March.
I should know this.
15th and 7th. Hold on.
No, it's in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's coming up in a couple of weeks. Spurs. Austin games. We'll look it up here real quick. But
March 15th, you're spot on.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
You know your stuff.
So the 15th and the 17th, that's a Friday and a Sunday.
Yep.
And they'll play the Nuggets and the Brooklyn Nets.
See, better matchups. You never see Jokic.
And then they'll go back home on the 19th. You're not that lucky that the Dallas Mavericks, they will be playing them, but right after that.
Yeah.
So they go back.
If we could just flip that schedule
take
around.
The Nets out.
Oh man.
Nobody wants to see the Nets. No one in Texas.
Hey, but I'll take
New
Nuggets.
York.
I'll take
Nuggets. Oh, for sure. For sure.
Like I said, last year had the Timberwolves and the Trailblazers.
All right.
You know, and the Timberwolves weren't the Timberwolves that they are this year. You know, don't forget, like they weren't great last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you talking about the defending champs.
Yeah.
In the building, like that's cool.
Yeah, for sure.
They're gonna do City Night when they do that Mavericks. That Mavs game's gonna go with that jersey, the City jersey, that white jersey. So that's what that one will be. Man.
So
can't wait.
Where we
NBA All-Star.
You want to talk NBA All-Star game?
Yeah.
All right, let's talk NBA All-Star game. But so before we start talking about 200 points being scored in the game,
what'd you like and what'd you not like?
Okay.
The whole weekend.
NBA weekend. Micah Parsons was the MVP of the celebrity game. He was
doing crazy.
37 points.
I didn't know he hooped like that.
My gosh.
Like 16 rebounds.
Yeah. Yes,
Still went stupid, bro.
If you wanted any more proof that Micah Parsons is just a phenomenal athlete,
Yeah.
you saw it in that game.
If you don't know, now you know.
Nah, I thought C.J. Stroud was going to be the MVP just because you see those clips floating around Twitter before with him dropping 40 points on an NBA player.
Yeah. Or how about Puka and all them dunks he had?
Yeah. Puka
I'm
was doing his
impressed.
thing.
I'm a fan of Puka now.
I like Puka. Puka's a great character. Like,
Yes, he
his
is.
personality's great. Like,
Yeah.
I am like a
He gets it.
yeah.
So he's gonna have an opportunity. I think he's gonna be. Oh, I forgot his name because I loved him when he was a player, and I was like, that guy's gonna be in media. The tight end that calls games now.
Greg Olsen?
Greg Olsen.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a Greg Olsen. He's gonna have opportunities on the back end of that.
For sure.
Sorry, Puka. I know you just finished your rookie
You
year.
just started.
I'm already,
We've already got you in the booth.
I gotta get you retired. And he's in a great market. If he gets to stay in LA, he can start moonlighting and maybe get a leg up.
So here's my best of the weekend.
Yeah.
Really loved the Steph
Yeah.
versus Ionescu 3-point shootout.
I didn't think I would.
I didn't think I would
I
either.
didn't think I would. Not gonna lie to you.
But legit, so Sabrina Ionescu from the WNBA.
You're killing her last name, by the way. Great stuff.
Ionescu.
No, I mean like you're like you're doing a
thank
great
you.
job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So, shooting with the WNBA ball, which is a size 4 ball, right, versus the size 5 NBA ball, which is perfectly fine. That's what she's played with all her life. But shooting from the men's 3-point line, which is not the WNBA line, lit it up, legit, hit, I think, her last 8 shots in a row. She struggled those 2 bonus balls from the outside. She didn't hit either one of those, and Steph hit one of them, which kind of was the difference in the shootout. But totally showed herself 100% well. And if the NBA doesn't find a way to embrace this, doesn't have to be a 3-point shootout, but some way to highlight. And I realize they've done those 3-on-3 challenges and things like that. They brought in WNBA players to be a part of that at times. But I thought that was the best part of the weekend for me. I do have a question that you guys we can talk about a little bit, is how do we energize the slam dunk contest, because I think it's right now it's just down to everybody's jumping over the top of somebody and dunking a ball, and I don't want to get rid of it, but you just had a G leaguer win your slam dunk contest again. So
Again.
I
don't know. I don't really have answers to that. I have one proposition, but
what's that?
Going back to Sabrina and Steph, though, I do want to talk about how, like, I don't think people are acknowledging the fact that, like, Sabrina was shooting from the NBA line and would have won the 3-point contest if she would have went in the competition.
Exactly.
She had a higher score than Dame Lillard. Like,
that's right.
I think that is something that people aren't, like, to me, I'm like, I didn't want to see in this. Like, I get she's playing with the women's size ball. Her hands are small. You know, they're not as big as a man.
It's relative.
And so, I just felt like that was amazing to watch. You know, because I didn't know what was going to happen. I don't know if Steph was going to be, like, all in, you know, because you never know how those situations go. And so I thought he was very competitive, which honestly, to me, like, I feel like dunkers should think the same way.
Yeah.
You know, because Steph doesn't have to prove anything to anybody. We all know that he's the best shooter of all time. But he's still going out there, putting his...
He put it on the line.
Put it on the line. You know what I'm saying? If he would have lost,
there
would have been... Twitter would have been crazy.
A whole nother conversation.
Know? And so I get it, you know, the factor of... And that's what Jaylen Brown talked about post-game. Post-slam dunk contest about, like, he doesn't feel like superstars are going to do it because they're afraid of the ridicule online and on social media and all the memes that are going to be made about them. Steph don't care.
Steph doesn't care. And so he just went out there and did it. And it was the greatest thing the whole weekend. I 100% agree.
I'm with you. Like, you got to find a way to continue to do that. I don't know if that looks like a whole, like, team type thing. I saw that coming out. Like, let's do 2-on-2, Dame and Steph versus Caitlin Clark and, you know, Sabrina. You know, I think that'd be pretty dope.
I think it would too.
I just hope it doesn't turn into something like the match is doing, where it's like, okay, this is kind of getting overplayed.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the only thing I am worried about. Going back to your slam dunk comment, though, the only thing I can think of, well, before I get into it,
okay,
Mac McClung.
Okay.
I liked his dunks.
Yes.
Like
Right.
every time he came up, I'm locked in. You know, the whole double catch.
Yes.
Backwards should have been 50s.
Yeah.
I don't care he missed the first dunk. And I was right there with Kenny, the Jet, talking about how like if you miss the dunk, it shouldn't penalize your score.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just not fair. And I don't know if y'all agree with the whole thing with you have to bait on your first attempt or not.
No, you need to give them a reason to challenge themselves, and missing a dunk because you put up what is a high level of difficulty should not. If we're going to penalize them, they're going to go safe.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It's going to be super boring.
Exactly.
At least now we're seeing them take some chances. I get it. Creativity only goes so far. You're jumping up as high as you can and you're stuffing a ball in a basket.
Yeah.
There's only so many ways to do that. So I get that. But don't penalize them for trying to be outside the box. You're right.
And even as a viewer, when Mac missed the first attempt, I'm still like, man, if he gets this in.
He gets this.
That's literally what I'm thinking.
I'm yelling. I'm
like,
screaming
bro,
the
if he
entire
gets this
time.
in, like, this is going to be crazy.
Yep.
And so to me, it's like, I didn't lose the fascination of the dunk after he missed the first. I actually got more inclined because, like, okay, I see what you're trying to do here. Can you do it? And so on that point, though, to fix this whole situation, the only thing I can think of is putting money on the line. That's the only thing, you know, because the only thing I'm basing it off of is the in-season tournament. And LeBron came out and said it. I believe Kyrie came out and said it when he was playing in the in-season tournament as well. Like, there's money on the line, we're going to hoop.
Yeah.
You know, and even though LeBron's a billionaire, he's still, and we talked about this on the show.
Exactly.
There's money on the line, I'm going to hoop.
That's right.
And so if you put money on the line for the slam dunk contest, maybe that's how you get guys out. You know, $5 million pot, you know, $2.5 million pot. I don't know, but that's just my thoughts.
You put prestige on it. You put prestige on it, and you rub the other guys' noses in it. That's my fix. My fix is it's got to be a coveted item. If it's money, great, but we lead, all things are led with that. So there are incentives offered to it. I'm just saying, maybe if you're the slam dunk champion, you get to miss, just a joke here, but you get to miss 10 games more than everyone else because you're the slam dunk champion, because you've been doing extra work. That's an example, people. That's just an example. But I think the prestige, I think you've got to add to it, to the award. And I know dollars are going to go a long way, but I think that's what if it is a coveted award. So for instance, you get a guaranteed three dinners a year with Michael Jordan because you're the slam dunk champion. I don't know. I think a lot of the people would love to do that. Just any kind of prestige you could add.
You know, look, I think there's something to be said for that. And I the first thing that popped into my mind was, if you win the NFL's Man of the Year award, you know, that Darth Vader patch that everybody wears.
Exactly.
It's not Darth Vader, but it kind of looks like Darth Vader.
It does.
And we all joke about it, right? But you wear that on your jersey for the rest of your career.
Oh, I like
is there
that.
Something
a captain
like
patch.
like a captain patch.
Yeah.
If you win the slam dunk contest, if we want to do it for the 3-point contest too, forever, for the rest of your career, you get to. And by the way, if you win it multiple times, you know how they put stars for the number of, like, the U.S. soccer team, women's soccer team has 3 stars because they won 3 World Cups or whatever. If you want to do that, just keep adding on to it. I think it'd be pretty cool.
I like that idea, actually. I really do. I really like that idea.
You are the best dunker of the best basketball players in the world, and it's got to be seen that way. You're the best 3-point shooter of all. And it would, think of it like how, the reason is I try to bring it to us. If I won an award, if I won a Webby and I came in here all the time and I always led with that, you guys would be tired of it and you'd be like, hey man, I think I need to put my head in the rack because I'm not going to keep hearing this. I mean, that's what you want. You're going to have to irk the other players so that they're tired of it. And then they realize, nah, bro, then I want to fight for it. I want it now.
If you're guarding a guy all night long, and all night long you got to stare at that 3-point champion logo on his jersey, me.
You ain't giving him space.
You ain't giving him space.
Nope.
And by the way, he's walking around going, dude, you better get in my face, because you know what I'm gonna do? I'm knocking this shot down. If you give me any space, you see this? I'm knocking it down.
How about the prestiges as the dunk champion and 3-point champion? You're at the NBA draft instead of the commissioner.
Right?
I want to see the commissioner, but I'd love to see an NBA dunk champion come out and announce the picks. Let's add some stuff to it. I don't think we gonna lose anything by seeing the commissioner up there. We good.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
We gotta change it.
You know, and this is what I hate about social media. You know, because and Jaylen Brown said it, and then he was the victim of it. Yeah. You know, and all night I just kept seeing memes of Jaylen Brown. You know, and even the next day, you know, when it comes to the first take, and they're talking about Jaylen Brown jumping over Kai Cenat, and who was 4'5", you know, and so was it a good idea? No, it was a horrible idea. I don't know why he would do that. But you also don't want the guy to be bashed, you know, on social media for going out there,
right,
and being the superstar to go out there.
Exactly.
You know, I would want him to be embraced for saying thank you, Jaylen Brown, for being an all-star and still participating in the slam dunk contest. Instead, he got it the worst.
Right.
You know, and so I just, you know, he proved everybody's point.
Right.
And to be honest, good on him to have that type of self-confidence, because he even said like I'll do it again, F it, you know, I'll do it again. And so even after getting all that backlash, and so I hate to see it for Jaylen, and that also not going to entice other superstars to do it after what happened to Jaylen. And so I don't know if we're going to ever see superstars back into the slam dunk contest.
I know,
because of social media and because of all the memes that get made. And this is the problem with our society. Like, we can't have anything good. And we always want to make jokes about everybody. Yeah. But when we point the finger back at the one behind the Twitter fingers, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, if you saw what happened last night, I don't know if you saw it with Phoenix Suns, Mavericks, KD walking out the tunnel. Fan calls KD the B word. KD checked him.
He did.
Went right
and
up
then
there.
what happened? Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean that.
And
his woman kept trying to shake his
hand.
Oh, girl.
Now
get your man.
Because KD's known as having a thin skin. He's multiple Twitter accounts, stuff like that. But he, in his defense, they then were going to kick those fans out of the game. He went back and said, no, don't kick them out of the game. I stopped. I made my point. I handled it. Let them watch the game. Everybody's fine. So we do have a call on the line before we get to our break. We're going to jump into the calls. Caller, you there?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Poppy Cannon. I was calling about the incentives, like for the dunk contest.
Yes.
I was thinking maybe the winner gets like a shoe deal or something like that, or a new shoe or something like that
for just like 1 year. They get a shoe, or maybe the NBA players have to wear that shoe to at least 3 games during the year. Is that can that help your point?
Like that. You think it'd be like they say signature shoe for that year.
I actually like that.
Something like that. I was thinking something like that.
I kind of like that. You know,
some shoe company would have to sponsor that.
Yeah,
but
I mean that's kind of dope.
I like it.
Yeah, they get a designer themselves.
And you do away with the NBA rules on shoes, right?
Yeah.
So you know we all know the Jordan story, and you have to have a certain amount of white in the shoe, and it's something having to do with they've kind of done away with some of that anyway.
Yes,
but make it no rules. You design your shoe.
You know what tonight is? Not wearing my shoes tonight. I'm the dunk champion.
You design this shoe and you wear it. Yeah. All of either the rest of the season or all of next season or whatever. I like that idea too. I kind of like that. Yeah.
Sponsored by Sprite or something.
Yeah. That's a good point. What was your name again?
They call me Poppy Cannon.
Okay, Poppy. Right. You just did your thing, Poppy. Keep firing, Cannon. What else you got? Did you like the lack of defense? Sorry, I'm putting my opinion in there, but did you like the All-Star game?
No, I don't really like the All-Star game too much no more. It's just pretty much just not even a Rucker Park game. Rucker Park games are even more
Right.
competitive.
Yeah, they are.
I agree. You asked me if I want to watch the NBA All-Star game or go to Rucker Park and watch a couple hours worth of game. I just go to Rucker Park.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
My nephew played at the YMCA. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So.
Hey, Poppy, where you calling in from?
Oh, Austin, Texas.
All right.
Okay, born and raised. You
Born and raised, Brackenridge Hospital.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, you got anything else?
Nah, that's it. That's really it. I heard that and I was
All
going
right.
to throw that out there.
All right, Poppy. We appreciate your call, man. Don't be afraid to call in again.
We'll do.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
All right.
I like the
That's it.
shoes. That's a great idea
I
that
think
he
that's a
had.
good idea.
And I'm glad he called in. That's a great point. That's better than because I had a bunch of other stuff, but that's the kind of stuff
That
that's
is
going to
good.
take
That is
those
good.
kind of thoughts. Because like I just said on the air while he was there, if I'm that guy, forget the Webby. Because his is better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna remind my teammates. I'm gonna remind other players that I know. They text because we
Yeah.
make fun of them generationally. They hang out and stuff. I'm like, yo, y'all know what today is. Y'all gotta wear my shoes today.
Yeah.
Today is the first of the 9 days. Y'all gotta wear it.
I think it brings up a good point because look, not every player has a big shoe endorsement deal, right? Yeah, Luka has his own shoe, and Allen Iverson had his own, and Kobe had his own, and all. But not everybody gets that big deal.
Right.
Some guys, I'm sure those end of the bench guys. Somebody's providing them free shoes, but they're not paying them any money for it.
Oh yeah, like
But
Kobe used to give the whole team shoes.
Exactly.
But if they play bad, he's like, I can't wear my shoes.
So
Give me that back.
So, maybe a guy, and by the way, I do want more stars to participate in the slam dunk contest, but it doesn't have to be a star. Some guy that doesn't have a shoe deal, any shoe company, all of them would say, yeah, you know what? We're in.
Yeah.
Adidas, Nike, everybody
Yeah.
goes,
See why
we
not?
don't know which one of us is going to get picked by the guy, but yeah, we're all in. And we're going to build a shoe for them. We're going to market it. We're going to sell it to the public. And we're going to make a lot of money off of it because who's not going to want the Slam Dunk Champion shoe?
It's like the Super Bowl bump. Those Super Bowl performers don't get paid because they get the bump.
That's right.
And so that shoe company is going to get the bump. Now, they still may throw an incentive. The NBA
Right.
won't have to pay. But if I'm that shoe company and now for 9 days, everyone has to wear the Adidas Anthony Edwards shoe,
Yeah.
I'm going to get some revenue. There's going to be kids that see it, and everyone's wearing the same shoes, and then
Yeah.
it's going to go through the roof. So I'll slide a little bit back to my player, but that's a great point. Good job, Poppy.
All right, so we need to get to a break. We'll come back on the other side. A lot more to talk about right here on the Fans View KAZI 88.7. And we're back on the Fans View KAZI 88.7. Travis Kent alongside Douglas Washington. KView 24's Corey Mose. Jay Hunt on the board. We teased it earlier. We got a guest in-house. San Antonio Spurs have been a great partner in the Austin area. The Austin Spurs obviously playing out at Cedar Park. And in with us today, the Senior Vice President of Strategic Growth. And by the way, he's also pretty smart. He's Deputy General Counsel. Atlanta, Georgia's own Brandon James. Brandon, welcome in.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
First of all, I kind of want to get a little bit of your story. I mean, you're a front office personnel of an NBA franchise. You got your law degree. When did you decide I'm going law, and then also want to cross into sports leagues, or what? Tell us your story.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So I went to school at the University of Georgia, got to law school and realized quickly that being a traditional attorney is probably not in the cards for me.
Okay, all right.
And so I cast a wide net in terms of places I wanted to work, and I got lucky and landed an internship with IMG, which at the time was the largest sports agency in the world.
Yep.
They've changed a little bit since I was there, but they're still doing big things. So turned that internship into a job and did that for about 4 years. And in 2012, the Spurs came calling, and they were looking for a young attorney to embed in their basketball group, the CBA was getting so incredibly complex that it was helpful to have someone who sort of understood that legal language and could distill it and then transfer that to the decision makers in the front office. And so that was my job for 8-9 years. And then when R.C. Buford, who at the time was the general manager, went from general manager to CEO, he asked if I'd come help him on the business side and help sort of lead our business strategy as well, with an emphasis on growth. And then that's how we got to Austin. We'll talk about, I'm sure, but Austin is a big piece of our growth opportunity.
100%. We want to talk about the Spurs. So my history in the Austin area, I grew up in East Texas and then came here in '89 to go to the University of Texas and have been in the area ever since. And I grew up a Dallas Mavericks fan, but you can't be in the Austin area and not be a Spurs fan on the back end of it. It drives me crazy that you guys knocked us out of the playoffs year after year after year. Dirk finally got his ring. I'm all good. It's all.
Are you sure you're good,
You
bro?
buried the hatchet? Yeah, you sound like you're still hanging on to
He
it.
thinks he is, and that's the growth. Is he thinks he is
exactly.
at this moment?
Look,
He thinks he is.
I don't have to actually be over it. I just have to publicly express that
Yes,
I'm over
sir.
it.
That's
Right?
growth.
So, that being said, David Robinson and Tim Duncan and now Wembanyama have given the Spurs this excellent platform over the years to cast themselves as not only are they in a great major metropolitan area in San Antonio already,
Right.
but this corridor of San Antonio, New Braunfels, San Marcos, and Austin, the way they have embraced the entire area has been, I believe, a genius move by the franchise. And then the extra step of this I-35 series where the Moody Center opens up, and now you've got a couple of home games being played at the Moody Center. We all know the rodeo road trip has always been an NBA joke for the San Antonio franchise for years, but now parlaying that into playing a couple games. Just talk a little bit about that vision and where this came from.
Yeah, well, it starts off with a few things. One, the economics of the NBA are changing drastically. And if we want to continue to compete how we would like to compete, we have to sort of change our perspective and how we look at our market. And San Antonio is uniquely positioned to take advantage of culturally, economically, geographically of where we are. And so, like you mentioned, we can tap into the Mexican market and make sure that the fans there are really being embraced and spoken to, and all the way up to as north as Austin, and making sure people like yourself are feeling that community and feeling like this. We want people that live in Austin to understand that there is an NBA team in Austin, and it's the Spurs. And so we're finally getting intentional about that, and we've seen some real success. People are coming out to our events in droves. We see Spurs gear a lot more around town, and we're really excited about sort of the traction that we're gaining, particularly in this market.
Another market I wanted to kind of emphasize about is the French market, if we're being honest. You know, because Wemby spoke out when he got drafted by San Antonio was Tony Parker, Boris Diaw. I watched them, you know, and I know the Spurs because of them. And even correct me if I'm wrong, but you'll have a game set up over there in France.
We're working on it
in the near future.
Yeah, we're working on it.
And so how are y'all conscious about that market as well, knowing that y'all kind of already have a foundation over there?
Yeah, you're exactly right. We do have a foundation in France, and we have a foundation internationally, frankly, with Pop's ties to the international community, and obviously our plethora of players who have come from different geographic parts of the world, and particularly in France. They enjoy basketball, and we enjoy our time over there. And so what we're trying to do is figure out how can we speak to the French market, similar to what we're doing in Austin, in a more intentional way. We have the luxury of having ambassadors like Tony Parker and Boris Diaw, and so really sort of helping gather from them ways to speak to the French market is something that we're going through now, and hopefully going to get super intentional about that going forward with Victor Wembanyama doing the things that he's doing. And we're going to move at the pace of Victor, honestly. And so whatever his appetite is, and that we're not going to move much faster than that. Okay. But we're open to it.
Brandon, I have two questions. The first one, serious, second one, you and I, we've already had some conversations. You know it's going to get comical for the second. Hopefully he thinks it's funny. So the first thing is, I wrote down teaching is what I want to ask you about. That organization is, and both questions are about the organization.
Sure.
That organization is renowned for a great culture. And so I was just kind of curious. I know the NBA has their rookie little symposium that they do. What do you guys do, or have you even had to, because I'm sure it's the legal guys coming in to make sure, hey guys, make sure that you're out there and you're thinking of these things. Do you guys have, could you give us a little peek behind the curtain on how that culture for the Spurs has done a great job of making sure you guys, they keep their noses pretty clean through the years.
Yeah.
What say you about that?
Yeah, it's not an accident, and you hit the nail on the head with culture. It starts with culture. It starts with values, right? Making sure that the people that we bring in fit our values, and we have a great player development team. We just hired a gentleman named Caleb from the Miami Dolphins, and before him was a woman named Annalisa. And so we've always been intentional about the people that we're surrounding our players with, and making sure we're putting our players in the best position to succeed, not only on the court, but off the court as well, whether it be financial advising, whether it be building their teams and helping build their brands. We're trying to give them as many tools to be as powerful on the court as they are off the court. And we're fortunate enough that the type of players we bring in are able to capitalize that and, like you said, keep their nose clean, but also maximize what they're doing off the court, bring in extra revenue for their family, and making sure that the people around them are taken care of, in addition to being excellent basketball players.
So that second part is, go Hawks. How do we know that you have cut all ties to the Atlanta Hawks? Born, raised, I used to live in East Point. Born and raised, you went to school, you got that undergrad, you got that JD from Georgia. How do we know that the organization, don't worry, they ain't listening. How do we know that you are not hurting them on the side? How do we know this? Are you all in for Spurs? Go Spurs, go.
No way you're asking this question. Right?
Oh, I am.
I mean, we're in year 12, right? I've yet to see a Atlanta Hawk insignia on my paycheck.
Okay,
So,
And did you see what they got back for DeJounte Murray? I mean, come on, dude.
no, but so family and friends, did they give you a hard time? Is it pretty funny still?
Family and friends are still there. Landry Fields, their general manager, came from the Spurs, and so Landry and I shared an office for several years in San Antonio, and so he's still a good friend of mine. So we do keep close tabs on what they're doing, and we're excited for them. They obviously have a great young organization.
Yeah.
But yeah, my heart and paycheck is with San Antonio Spurs until further notice.
So I love being able to talk to someone who has that front office knowledge and can get a little insight. And I'd love to hear your thoughts as a strategic growth guy and talk a little bit about the NBA and the G League and what those partnerships and not only from the player standpoint, right? I mean, there's player growth that goes into that, but the idea of cementing marketplaces and building brand image and things like that. Talk a little bit about what the G League does for an NBA franchise.
Yeah, so it's a breeding ground for talent, and that's, like you said, not just on the basketball court. And so we've had coaches matriculate to coaching ranks in the NBA. Taylor Jenkins is a prime example, former G League coach, now the head coach of the Memphis Grizzlies. We've had some front office people, again, matriculate from our G League program that are now running NBA teams, Sam Presti among them. And so we're really excited about what we can do with our G League program, and as you mentioned, being an entry point into another market similar to what we've done with Austin, it just allows us another touch point when Austin fans may not be able to make the drive 70 miles down to San Antonio. They still have professional basketball and high-level basketball. I think I saw a stat recently that said a third of the NBA had spent time in the G League. Which is a big deal for fans to be able to get access and exposure to these up-and-coming NBA players while they're early in their career.
So I know the I-35 series was kind of a test run, right? You wanted to see last year how it was going to pan out, and I was there for both games covering it, and so saw the crowd sold out.
I remember you had a dope suit on.
Yeah, Corey!
Oh, correct.
Crispy Corey, that's what I call him.
Yeah, that's what the streets be saying.
Something like
something like that, becoming clean, But yeah, so with that being so successful, now my question would be, what is the kind of end goal, or what is the vision right now for Austin after you saw, okay, they love it. Now what?
Yeah. Excellent question. I don't know if there is an end goal per se. To me, I think where we'll be satisfied organizationally is that when companies, when people, when fans identify the Spurs as Austin's NBA team. Austin is such a transient city. People are moving from all over. You from Atlanta, you from East Texas. So the more that we can create NBA fans and Spurs fans particularly in this Austin market, that's only going to help us organizationally. And so at the end of the day, we're just trying to make sure that the Spurs community feels a sense of pride and home in Austin and in Mexico and in all points in between.
And there's a give and take from a front office perspective when you're looking at strategic partnerships and what to do with games, and you've got ideas about France and the Mexican market. And there has to be a lot of talk about are there opportunities in Mexico to have games in Mexico City or whatever the case may be. But you have to balance that out because you have 41 home games,
right?
And you have to figure out what will our market, what will San Antonio tolerate as a fan base of us taking those away. And I'm guessing those are really the details of what you guys are talking about.
Yeah, every day. There's that saying, what's it, dance with the girl that bought you there?
Exactly. Yeah.
So we understand that San Antonio is our core, and San Antonio is always going to be our home. What we're trying to sort of paint the picture now is that in order for us to compete how San Antonio fans want us to compete, we have to look at our market differently. And so really it's about storytelling. The team's not moving. We're just expanding our sights on what we consider our market. And I think that's starting to catch on. That story is starting to be told, and it's paying huge dividends for our organization.
Has there been, I mentioned earlier the rodeo road trip. It's a real thing. I mean, like it's legit. It takes away, I don't know what the 20 something days that you can't use your own arena. Right. And during, when you look at what we were just talking about, 41 home games, what do we do with this? Is that part of the thinking as well of, look, if it's 41 home games and we have, I'm just going to throw a number, 36 are going to be in San Antonio, and we're going to spread a couple to Austin. We're looking at France for some things we're going to do, but is it also part of the travel plan and the picture and the talks with the NBA of can we have our guys sleep in their own beds a few more nights over this 20-something day span, as opposed to being on planes and on the road, and that wear and tear. Look, travel just stinks. I mean, it's part of NBA life. Yeah. We all get it, but when you have to be away for that long, it's got to be a wear and tear on a organization.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The travel is a monster in the NBA, and so what we've tried to do is look at that schedule and figure out how we can make some of that travel easy for our players. We've hired sports scientists and high medical performance people to help sort of guide us in that area. But in terms of scheduling, we have a lot of stakeholders that we have to make sure are taken care of. University of Texas, Oakview Group that owns Moody Center, Bexar County, who owns our arena back in San Antonio, the NBA. And so all these people have to be aligned for this to go right. And we've been fortunate to have them all on board to do these past games that we've done and the ones that we have coming up in the future. In an ideal world, we'd love to break up our rodeo and have more games in Austin. But we have to understand that University of Texas has goals that they want to meet, right? We're in the middle of the University of Texas men's and women's basketball season. And so what we don't want to do is be too disruptive to what they have going on and being good partners where we can find mutual benefit from our presence here in this market.
Brandon, I'm so curious here. Another two-part.
Yep.
In all of our opinions, you guys have an intramural league of staff that plays there in the organization. Is that true? And then, because I already know who your first pick, you're probably, everyone's fighting for the dunk champion. And then the second part is, who's your favorite Spur?
Wow. My favorite. I'll start with the favorite Spur
Okay.
one, right? So I mean, look, I mentioned our values filter. So all of our guys are really, really good guys. I developed some really good relationships with Patty Mills, who I still keep in touch with. Boris Diaw is another one that I still keep in touch with. Doug McDermott's a good dude. I can't really name one. Our whole team right now, they're young, but they're really good guys. We've had them up in Austin several times for our player immersion programs. Jeremy, Devin, Kevin, Keldon, and so it's hard. It's like picking your favorite child.
I
it's
know.
hard to do. We have really good players, and we're really fortunate. As far as intramural basketball, like, we're a competitive organization, period. Particularly our video room guys, who are all former D1 athletes, and so the games on the practice courts back in San Antonio can get really competitive, to the point where I think we've had some blown ACLs, some Achilles injuries. So like it gets pretty rough and tumble in there. But yeah, it's hard to be at the Spurs organization without being competitive, and that manifests itself on the court, even in intramural friendly games.
Yeah, I saw a podcast earlier this week with Boris, and he mentioned how he never scored a bucket with his offhand in his whole career.
Wild.
Sheesh.
Wild.
In his whole career, never scored a. Yeah,
I believe him too. I believe him. He was one of my more craftiest players I've ever seen, because Boris is not going to beat you with his athleticism.
Right.
But he was so skilled and so smart that you would always find those advantages. And there's a lot of players in today's game that have similar makeup to what Boris did, and he's a special player.
Now, I'm curious to know, like, for your position, when the organization gets a guy like Wemby, and not just for the on-the-court factor, but the brand and the growth opportunities with a guy like Wemby, he just got to deal with Louis Vuitton, and so how exciting was that for you to know, man, I got this potential to really expand this organization with this one guy?
Yeah, I mean, it was a conversation I was having with our CEO, R.C. Buford, this morning. What we don't want to do is move away from who we are at the Spurs, and that's a team-first organization, right? And so as transcendent as Wemby is, we have to make sure that we're not doing things that are disruptive to our team. And so if you're only highlighting one player at every event that you're hosting, that has an effect on the team. And so we're super mindful of doing that. So when you see billboards or advertisements with our players, we like to have multiple players. Wemby
like the
sometimes
H-E-B commercials.
Yeah, the H-E-B commercials.
H-E-B commercials are a prime example.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have these outside sponsors that say, oh, we would like this player, or we like that player, and we as an organization have to make sure that they understand, as a values-first organization, we're putting the team first, and we're not going to do anything that disrupts that team chemistry, including only highlighting one certain player at all these different things. So it's a fair point. We can't ignore the fact that Wemby is a transcendent player on and off the court, but we do need to be mindful of our team dynamic, because that's something that's important, and again, that's what got us to where we are, and we're going to continue that in the future.
Spurs have been known as and Pop has been a big part of that, of developing players, developing a team profile and attitude on the court. But the overall organization has also taken on the same. I mean, look, Pop was in the front office before he put himself on the bench. And I fully admit that at the time he did it, I was on the air and I was critical of the decision. He proved me wrong. Yeah. Okay, so
that's big of you. That's big of you to admit. Yes. Wow, like more growth. Right?
Exactly.
Yes, it is.
But the organization overall has spawned people that have moved all across the NBA on a running franchise. Near and dear to my heart is the University of Texas. We lost Lance Blanks last year, who was a big part of the organization as well. I just wanted to get Lance's name in there as we were talking about the Spurs. But talk a little bit about the overall vision of the Spurs as an organization and helping people grow. And like, how does that play into your mindset? And is like, do you have other front office goals in mind? I don't, however much you would like to talk about that.
we're a development-oriented organization, and so we understand that how we get people is hopefully not how they're going to leave or matriculate up in our organization. And so what we try to do is put resources around our staff, our employees, our players, so that everyone is constantly growing and developing. I'm an attorney by trade, but I'm leading our growth efforts in Austin. And so that is just a prime example of us being able to organizationally allow people to expand things that they're comfortable with, that ultimately help the organization. It comes down to putting people first and making sure that they're taken care of, they feel good about where they are. And if that can benefit the organization, which we've had experience that it does, then the more that we can pour into people's growth and development, understanding that their ultimate goal or their ultimate job may not be with us, we have to be okay with that, because doing that and having that culture is only going to increase our ability to attract and retain top level talent, which we try to do.
I want to go to your base, your general counsel. By the way, I'm not terrible at resetting, but Brandon James with the San Antonio Spurs, Senior Vice President of Strategic Growth, Deputy General Counsel. You mentioned earlier when you came on board and working with the CBA and the intricacies of the structure of the NBA. One, what's the size of your council staff? And how much time and how much effort is there on an annual basis, if you can somehow quantify it, of dealing with not only what your cap looks like and any potential taxes that go with that, and moving forward of what the team needs. Talk a little bit about the business side of running a franchise.
Yeah, so in terms of building a legal team and a strategy team, which I'll get to the distinction in a second, I'm a big believer, and I'm not saying this to be modest, on hiring people smarter than you. And so our legal department is a top-tier legal department. Our chief legal officer, named Bobby Perez, resides in San Antonio, and he's sort of the head of the snake. And then he handles all of our business dealings, right? Corporate signage, naming rights, media stuff. I handle the basketball stuff, right? So agent negotiations, player contracts, off the court issues, etc. And then we have some junior attorneys that work in San Antonio, and then one of them actually lives in Austin that help sort of round out our legal department. In terms of the CBA, it's super complex, but I want people to understand it's not just lawyers that have the ability to navigate and maneuver a CBA. Our basketball strategy team actually has one attorney on it, but 3 non-attorneys, and they are cream of the crop. You won't find a better basketball strategy group. So it's really the ability to problem solve, the ability to know basketball, and we're really high on sort of our collection of assets in terms of draft picks and capital that we have to build going forward. And so we're really in a good position that we have a really strong young core of players and assets to add to that and build to that, and to put people around our core group to continue our build towards hopefully championships in our future. And so it's a complicated formula, but again, really talented group, and our strategy group and our legal department, I'd put them against any organization, any sport even.
We don't have much longer. We're going to go to break. Brandon, thanks for joining us today. We were 0-2 this year against the Hawks, so maybe those are the games you don't attend in the future. I'm thinking there's some things there. I'm seeing that's probably for the best. San Antonio, the draw. I moved here from Georgia, and what I try to tell people when I try to get people to go to the games in Cedar Park is that you, if we're transients, you can build memories. That there's something, you're part of something bigger than yourself by rooting for the home team, and it anchors you to the community. Yeah. And I really like what they do, so you could go back and tell them how they're treating us here. It's amazing. Great family experience. Awesome. I love the games. I know you're an NBA guy and you're like, hey, you're talking so much G League. Well, we love it. And you guys took Mamukashvili, and I loved him. He had that big game. Y'all took him. Y'all ain't gave him back yet. So we know that kind of stuff. Yeah. But do you guys do you guys look at it the way I'm talking that we can get these families, some of those that are here as transients, we can get those families to get in? Is that part of that vision?
Absolutely. I have this conversation all the time in the community. I would argue that the best bang for your buck in terms of sports spend is a G League ticket. You're seeing NBA players for $10, $15 and close. You get to hear them, see them, feel them, and there's no better value, I think, in sports than a G League game. And so you're really getting to see top-level talent for a very reasonable price and a family-friendly environment. So I'd argue with anyone that the G League is the best bang for your buck in terms of sports spend in Austin.
Well, I led this off by saying the Spurs have been a great partner for the Austin area. We appreciate you coming in. It has been a fantastic getting some insight into what you do and how the Spurs think. It stands out as one of the best organizations in all of sports.
Appreciate that.
Folks, some of you may not remember that until Magic and Bird came along, the NBA Finals were tape delayed, and now we're talking about something that dominates the airwaves and is on TV, and you can see the Spurs play not only the I-35 series, but you can go out to Cedar Park and watch the future stars tomorrow. Serge-Ibaka Rice, you can go see UT players that play out there. It's a fantastic deal. But Brandon, thank you so much for coming in. We really appreciate your time and appreciate your insight.
Yeah, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to direct
Certainly.
people to a place to find more information on Spurs Week
for sure.
coming up, because even if you're not able to attend our games on the 15th and 17th, we have something for everyone during our Spurs Week. And so if you text the number 210-444-5050, you'll get a complete calendar of information on all the things that we have going on during Spurs Week. Or if you just Google NBA Spurs Week, you'll get a full calendar of things we have going on from that Sunday to the Sunday after our games, from free coffee to watch parties to 3-on-3 tournaments, you name it, we have it. And so we're really trying to, we understand it's during South by, and South by takes up a lot of atmosphere, so we're really trying to sort of fit in with all that's going on and really make it an amazing experience for people in and around.
Would you mind doing the number again? Because we know Mr. Oklahoma wasn't ready. He's got to find a pen and paper. And you know it, Mr. Oklahoma.
Text Spurs Week, one word, Spurs Week, to 210-444-5050.
Perfect.
And you'll get everything you need. Or just Google NBA Spurs Week, and it'll take you to a calendar of all our events.
Fantastic. We really appreciate you coming in. Appreciate your insights. It's I gotta admit I'm such a geek when it comes to asking questions about franchises and how things work and salary caps and signing players, and I could talk to you probably for hours and just make you bored to death and go, when is this nerd going to stop talking to me about this stuff? But we really appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thank you guys for doing what you're doing. We appreciate you guys, and if we can be of service, please let us know.
Fantastic.
All right, thanks, guys.
Brandon James, Senior Vice President of Strategic Growth, Deputy General Counsel for the San Antonio Spurs, in with us. We're going to go to a break. Be right back here on the Fans View, KAZI 88.7. And we're back on the Fans View, KAZI 88.7. Travis Kent, Douglas Washington, KV24's Corey Mose. Jay Hunt on the board. Want to give a quick shout out to the board and management here at KAZI. Jay Hunt, Marion Nickerson, Sharon J., the entire board, the support they give us on the air. I've been at the station a long time. I had a year off, and I didn't realize how much I missed the people until I came back, and I appreciate the support they give us. I think those of you that have listened to the Fans View over the years would agree that the support we get nowadays, the help of getting folks on the air. I mean, I didn't know who Brandon James was. I could have never gotten him in here. I'm a guy that goes home and works his insurance job after this. So it's not, but you guys made this happen. I appreciate it. Jay, I just want to make sure I let you know that I appreciate the work you guys put in. So that being said, we were talking NBA All-Star game before we went to break, before we talked to Brandon. We never really talked about the game. First of all, who's the leading scorer in the NBA?
It's Joel Embiid, huh?
It's Luka Doncic.
Wow.
There's
Am I
been
tripping?
a change there?
34.7 points a game. Now, guess who has never scored double digits in an All-Star game? Luka Doncic.
I wasn't going to say anything, but I'm glad we could talk about it.
But a lot of other people have no problem scoring points in the NBA All-Star game, and that's why we had over 200 points. So the NBA knows they have a problem. But look, the NFL figured out they had a problem, and they got rid of their game.
Yes, they did.
And they went to a completely different model. I've heard talk of, well, why don't you just go to 8-minute quarters? Why don't you do something else that at least helps the players to not feel like they're actually having to. I don't know what the answer is, but All-Star games in the NHL admitted that they had an issue, and they went to this 3-on-3 multiple team format and skills competitions. And by the way, the NFL NFL skills competition, I kind of like the way they've done Pro Bowl weekend in the NFL. The NBA skills competition was trash.
Yeah, I'm good on that.
I mean, those guys didn't really want to throw a ball through a hoop.
No, I mean Anthony Edwards shot with his left hand.
No, we go with that.
They want me to dribble. I mean, could Trae Young have put less effort than he did in that skills competition thing?
Yeah, I mean, it was.
He looked
completely
completely disinterested in being there, and I don't necessarily blame him either. I mean, you're asking me to do like drills that I did when I was 6 years old when I first started playing basketball, and you're calling this a competition. That's not so. I don't know how they fix it. I just know that a lot of the weekend was unwatchable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, just like the Pro Bowl, and so at the end of the day, none of these guys want to get hurt.
That's right.
And I can't blame them.
Nope.
And I'm not going to.
Right.
And I agree. I don't want you to get hurt, especially not for something that doesn't count or doesn't matter.
The one thing I didn't criticize in this whole thing, I did criticize one guy, and I'm going to apologize right now because it's not the player's fault. This is not the player's fault, and it's not the league's fault either. The league just has to figure out how to change around because the money's too big.
Yeah.
And
the risks are too high.
And the risks are too high. Somehow they have to change.
So then
whose fault is it?
Follow the NFL's plan and put it at the end of the season? After the season's over?
I don't think you can do that though. I mean, you can't change everything. I mean, that's literally changing what's been going on the past.
The All-Star break in basketball serves a purpose for a majority of the players to be able to take 5 days off and not do anything, and I think there's a lot of value to that.
And that's why they hate it. That's why the All-Stars hate it, because it's like, man, the one time we got a break,
and I can't go to Cancun.
I can't go to Cancun.
The rest of my teammates are sitting on a beach in Cancun,
literally, yeah, with their side chicks,
and I,
Corey.
Sorry, my bad.
Too soon, Corey.
My bad. I have a vendetta against dudes over 6'4". Man, it's not my fault. IG DM's going crazy, but I'm over here chilling.
So there's your 512-836-2887.
Yep.
Let's see if anybody wants to offer anything when it comes to how to fix that.
But you got it.
Well, while we're on that, your boy missed the dunk.
He did.
He got a little too excited and he missed the dunk.
Oh, believe me.
Was he not trying? Please tell me that you can understand what happened there.
He's just not that athletic.
I thought no. So it's funny you say that because that's what I'm saying. You see all these thoroughbreds running up and down, throwing lobs and doing that, and you're feeling yourself. And you were like, "Hey, everyone else has been doing it," and he got caught. He realized, "Oh, I don't have those hops."
He cared.
I don't think he cares. I don't think he cared either. The the thing that sticks out to me when I was watching part of the All-Star game and being a Mavericks and a Luka fan and wanting him to score. I mean, Dirk was the same way. Look, I spent a lot of years watching Dirk in the All-Star game.
It was hard
and that just wasn't his jam.
It's
just not his jam.
Too much running for Dirk.
Yeah, I mean, and it's kind of the same thing for Luka. I mean, you watch Luka night in, night out in the NBA, and he's got ball in hand, and he's doing step-back threes, and he's dribbling around guys and getting into the lane and making tough moves. But, man, when you get in the game where it's nothing but thoroughbreds,
yeah,
and you're a great player, but you're not a thoroughbred, it stands out.
Isn't that always the compliment, that you can never speed up Luka in the game? And so in the All-Star game, you ain't gonna speed him up.
That's right.
Yeah, exactly.
No, bro, this is where I play. So,
but it's not just him though. It's also it's Jokic too.
Jokic too. Same way.
Big problem. And I don't know if this is just an international thing, where in the sense of, because there is American players who also don't give a crap, but I feel like a lot of international players really don't care because honestly, except for Giannis. Giannis is the one guy I'm like, okay, he does care. He's a competitor.
I agree.
But they just don't see the point of it.
Right.
You know, at least if you're American, you kind of grew up watching the All-Star game. You grew up watching Kobe and go at it with Michael Jordan. You know, you got to see these guys battle it out like Kevin Garnett. You know what I'm saying? I remember watching games with Paul Pierce, you know, and him talking trash to dudes on the Lakers, you know, East versus West. But if you're international, you didn't see that growing up. And so you're over here coming to the NBA, like, what's the point of this?
You grew up overseas. What's probably your favorite sport or the favorite sport of your family growing up? It's probably soccer.
Football.
You ever seen the Premier League All-Star game? Doesn't exist. No. The La Liga All-Star game doesn't exist. None of what we and by the way, we talk about this. We could have a whole show on promotion, relegation, and the way they do things overseas, and about the way we do things here. I mean,
I honestly like the way they do it over there.
You do like it?
I do like it. Teams can't suck for a long period of time.
Oh, relegation.
Exactly.
Love it.
Like, if you suck, you're going to get penalized. Like, you're going to get punished.
You guys know
you can't just be bad.
You guys know I played semi-pro football when I was over there. Even on that level, they relegate.
Do they really?
All the way down to little old us.
I love the idea.
They are serious.
But in a free market economy that we have in the U.S., the one thing that is very socialistic is our sports.
Yeah.
Our sports are protective, and they do not want people interfering with the way they make money. And so it's, you know, let's just call it what it is. It is a socialistic society.
Capitalism leads to socialism.
They all make a lot of money. They share it amongst themselves, and they don't want anybody butting in on it.
Wow, that's a good take, man. We could do a whole show about that. That'd be awesome. Let's come back to that. That would be awesome. That I never really thought of it like that. I will say this though, Corey, because you said you don't like it. I do like it.
Yeah.
Oh no, I'm sorry. You don't like what they do. You like what they do there. What I'm saying is I like the All-Star game because no one else does it, and you get to see everyone on the floor together.
Well, I didn't say I don't like the All-Star game. I'm saying I like the way they do regulation
with the regulation. Okay.
I'm mostly the All-Star.
I
love the premise of being able to watch all the superstars on the court at one time.
Yes.
But I want them to compete. And I don't even want them to compete for the whole game. Like, I'm okay with, even when they did the Kobe tribute, right? And Kobe and Gianna. And when you get to a certain score, now you got to score 24 points. Whoever gets to that target score wins the game. And you saw it. I mean, back in 2020, they were battling.
Yes.
Battling to get to that target score.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much of that was to just honor Kobe or how much of it was they were just competing out there. But that was just 4 years ago. You know, I don't feel like that's... It feels like an eternity ago that dudes were competing in the All-Star game, but that was only just 4 years ago. And so I don't know where that went.
I know the answer. back in the day, they didn't have the crossover. They didn't have the Drew League. And so when guys got the chance, I looked the other day, and Michael Jordan threw an alley-oop to Shaquille O'Neal, and he was excited about it. They're both Omega Psi Phi. They're both in the same fraternity. Back in those days, they didn't have that many off-season leagues where they got to play together. So in the All-Star game, you were excited to throw a lob to this guy who I didn't. But now with the crossover, that's the Jamal Crawford event. Craw is that. Pretty awesome job there. Good job marketing. And then the Drew League and a couple other. And I think that's ruined it. And the guys know, oh yeah, I've already played with Corey before. I'm good.
I think there's also a factor of just the way things are done now. The one and done mentality of college basketball. You don't you get out of. You're a fantastic athlete, and your goal and mindset is no longer, I want to go to a good college and try to win a national championship. It's, I need to go somewhere that gets me to the NBA. And I don't feel like the camaraderies are built over your career. I don't think there's as much attachment to the college that you went to. We're lucky here that KD still comes back to UT and still has a grasp.
A lot of guys do.
And a lot of guys do. But I don't know. Maybe my argument's falling flat. I don't know. I just don't. I think the mindset of the player has changed so much that I don't think we can reverse the course of it. The NBA is a league, and we as viewers just have to accept it and find a way to deal with it the best.
That's facts. And I think that's only a basketball thing, that mindset that you're talking about with college players. Because I do think football players, I'm not going to say that they don't think about what's going to get me to the NFL, because they do. That's why they go to Bama.
Yes.
That's why they go play for Nick Saban. That's why dudes go play for Georgia, because they're trying to get to the NFL. But they also want to win a chip. And so they have the dualities of that. With basketball, like you said, the one and done thing, it messes up all that. A lot of these guys that are top 5 prospects that are going to be lottery guys in a year, they're not going to win a championship at that university. They're just, that's not their mindset. Their mindset is to get buckets and to get drafted. And unfortunately, I don't know how to change that. You know, and I can't blame them, because if you have a dude like Ben Simmons, who is arguably the best player in his draft class in high school, now I got to wait a year to get my bread, and you want me to go to class? Like, he had like a 1.2 GPA, and I'm like, I don't blame him. Like, why would I go to class? Like, we all know I'm not going to be here next year. We all know I'm about to be making $50 million.
I could be working on my jump shot.
Literally. Like, why am I here?
Hey, look
at just delaying it.
Look at UT's roster this year. It would have, who's, not Ron Mercer. What?
Ron Holland.
Ron Holland.
Yeah. G League Ignite.
G League Ignite. I don't blame him.
I don't blame him.
I'm not calling him out for making a bad decision. What I'm calling out is,
I wish we would have made it earlier.
I wish it would have made it earlier.
But that's a whole other conversation.
Exactly. But the system.
Yeah. What were you saying?
I'm calling out the system that, and I don't know how to fix it. I'm calling out what I believe is a problem, but I have zero solution for it. And I hate when I do that. But this is one time when I don't know how to fix. How do you build back in? I think when NFL players get to the NFL, in the locker room, they have college conversations. They have rivalries. They bet. They have private bets between each other about the Texas. There are Texas and OU players that play together. That Texas OU week,
they don't talk to each other.
They live to get in the locker room and give the other person a hard time about running up to that game. I don't think that happens in the NBA, and I think that loses something in the camaraderie of a locker room. And I just don't know what to do about it.
So I got 2 things on camaraderie. I'm taking you in a different direction.
Okay.
I'm staying on camaraderie. First of all, were you worried about the camaraderie that you saw between Luka and Jokic because he was cornered. That Jokic was cornered, and he said, "I'm not leaving Denver, but if Luka's not happy in Dallas, he can come here to Denver, but I'm not leaving." Any of that scare you?
No, it didn't, because I've kind of been. It didn't add to my scaredness, because I've kind of been scared about Luka leaving for a while now. But I will say, and we haven't talked about it a little bit, but they've won 7 straight. I
say you should be.
Yeah, right now.
Pretty solid.
Oh man, I tell you what, we got a big man that can protect the rim. We got a big man that outside of Dwight Powell, nobody on this team was able to utilize the pick and roll the way that Dallas can right now, and it.
You mean Max Kleber couldn't go up and catch a lob?
I don't. It takes a lot for me to get off a bandwagon of a player. I mean, I'll tout Tim Hardaway Jr. all day long. Before we got rid of Curry again, once he's on my team, I'm going to play him up. Maxi Kleber, in theory, I love Maxi Kleber.
Yeah, in theory.
But theory doesn't always play out on the court the way it's supposed to.
Definitely not. Definitely not. That's reality.
Exactly. I mean, I love me a 6'10" guy that can shoot from the outside until he shoots 24% over a 3-week span.
Yeah, Derek Lively, I love him.
Oh,
and then Gafford, though.
Just an amazing guy.
What a great pickup.
Gafford.
They are swimming with talent over there. It's going to be fun to watch.
And I'm happy to see Kyrie hooping.
Yes.
He had you saw that layup he did the other day? I mean, I've just never seen anyone do that before. Yeah. And I've always been on Kyrie's bandwagon, and I know he had a lot of things in his past that people talk about, and a lot of people don't like him. And to be honest, at the end of the day, I consider him the one basketball player is the best handlers of all time. And even the AI has come out and said, yeah, I think he has better handles than me. And so with that, I don't think he gets the respect that he deserves as a hooper, because his championships came with LeBron. And so people always say, oh, LeBron got those chips, which fair, but he also put up 40 points. He also hit the game winner over Klay Thompson. So let's not forget that he also carried his weight. And I think the trip in Boston, the trip in Brooklyn really ruined his career from a fan perspective. Yeah. And I think now he's building that back up in Dallas. And he's with the player that compliments him in a way that I didn't think could. To be honest, when they made the trade the first time, I'm like, there's no way 2 ball dominant point guards are going to be able to work. And they're making it work, and they're doing it in such a beautiful way that they're able to share the ball, pick their moments, pick their spots. Like, hey, I got it this time, you got it this time. And there's no beef. There's no question of who's going to close the game out, because they both close the game outs, which is something I didn't think was possible. But I saw it at the beginning of the year in their first game against San Antonio. Yeah. If we go all the way back to game 1, that was a game where San Antonio was up. And at halftime, I'm going to give all the credit to Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley said this at halftime. He said, this is a close game. If it goes down to the end, who's going to close it out for San Antonio? Because you have this new rookie in Wemby, but everyone seems to not want to give him the ball. But we all know who's going to close it out for Dallas. And guess what? That's exactly what happened. Yeah. Kyrie took his shots. Luka took his shots. And from game 1, they've realized how to close games out. And so that's the scary thing about Dallas. They figured out the ending of games. And so if they're able to be in these games in the playoffs and have this type of same production from the role players that they're having right now, this is a scary team. This really is. And when you have 2 superstars, that's what happens. You make yourselves competitive and able to win a championship. Yeah. So props to the Dallas Mavericks for getting this all together. Yeah. Because people were worried about Luka leaving.
That's right.
Because he didn't have help.
Yep.
And y'all lost Jalen Brunson. And after he says now that, you saw that?
It would have been Jalen Brunson at a discount. He wanted
at a discount.
4 years.
He asked twice.
55, and he got more than that ultimately.
Way more.
But man, you could have been locked in.
He asked twice for that contract.
Yeah.
But like I said, they made it work.
That's all right.
They got it, to me, the better player in Kyrie. Yeah. So,
you would have been younger with him. Oh, here's the only thing I'll say. The best layup package in the game is is Kyrie,
Layup
but if you
package.
go back and you look at Rod Strickland, he had a little bit of that
yeah,
too.
oh, yeah,
Rod
and,
Strick-
and
oh.
so
And Kyrie talks about Strickland all the time.
okay, good. And so I want to get to guys since we're talking NBA, Mr. Oklahoma. We talking NBA. Dame Lillard. He was asked the other day if there's going to be a problem with Giannis because he didn't select Giannis for his top 5. He had Bam Adebayo,
People get so
and we all
sensitive.
know he wanted to go to Miami, but he got traded. There's nothing he could do about that. What say you, Travis? If you're in the NBA and they ask you your starting 5, you put yourself on it like he did. He said he's the starting point guard.
Yeah.
Are you going to hurt Corey's? Because I know you put me on, but are you going to hurt Corey's feelings because he's not the small forward that you would put on there?
Yeah, that would be. I will call everybody to a conversation between Dirk and Dwayne Wade a couple weeks ago, before the All-Star game.
Yeah.
There was a sit down, and they were talking about. Dirk made a comment when they lost to the Heat, and he said something about we kind of gave them the series, and hurt Dwayne Wade held a grudge for a long time after that, and called Dirk out in an interview shortly after that. And then we had the series where Dallas wins the series, and there was some bad blood between them, and they both sat in the same. When they were this was at the Hall of Fame ceremony. This is what this was, and they sat in the same room. They talked about it. They felt like they were good to each other, but you look at their faces, they both still kind of weren't good.
Whoa!
Right?
Oh, I'm gonna look this up.
I kind of feel like Giannis, to me, does seem pretty laid back and pretty chill when it comes to some things. But man, when you have a teammate that's calling out a top 5 and he doesn't put you on that list,
MVP. Bam ain't got no
Yeah,
MVPs.
or
chips.
I think that's probably going to sting a little bit.
I know.
Will it manifest itself on the court? Probably not. But in the locker room, could it cause at some point when something's going to spark it? Something's going to spark it. They're going to go through a bad stretch. By the way, since they changed coaches.
Chill out.
Is Doc?
we got it.
Is Doc
Chill out,
really the
chill
guy?
out.
Okay,
Doc
all
is
right,
not the guy.
They haven't been healthy all the games.
No, I lived in Boston. Remember?
right.
He
trust
ain't
me,
the guy.
I'm not making any excuses for Doc.
All right.
Doc isn't good. I mean,
No,
he
not.
can't win.
No, he can't.
He can't win.
You can't win. Remember she said that to Rocky? That's
man.
all I see now, Doc.
All right. We've got to get out of here. We are way over time again.
Yeah.
Man, we do this every week.
Yep.
Man,
No, we didn't do it last week. You weren't here.
Oh, yeah, it is my fault. It's my fault.
I'm
So,
joking, bro.
all right, hey, oh man, Brandon James, thank you for coming in. We appreciate the San Antonio Spurs for providing him to us. We will see you back here next week on the Fans View KAZI 88.